All right, so over the past year on this video, we've gone into some pretty interesting topics, right? About how racism isn't actually bad and how we can't all just get along, how the melting pot is bullshit. Um, Go back and watch my video, The Lie Inherent in Every Accusation of Racism. If you need a primer on that shit, I don't want to re-go over it because we'll be here for 30 minutes. I want to talk about the way the left uses this entire concept, not just of racial injustice, but of wealth injustice and all this. Everything's an injustice. The reason why they need everything to be an injustice is to uh, legitimize their way of doing everything, which is a racket. It's racketeering. The entire method of how the left fixes anything, and I mean literally anything, is robbing Peter to pay Paul, tax and spend. Now, we used to call a very specific con game robbing Peter to pay Paul. We now refer to this con scam as a Ponzi scheme, which is to give to one by taking from another and then pocketing some of that until the scam collapses. Now, you've probably heard a libertarian say taxation is theft. I have to explain why. First of all, wealth is not a zero-sum game. It's not a game with a set number of victory points. If there's $100 in this wealth game at this moment, well, then you'd think that the only way this works out is either everybody has to keep the same amount of dollars or somebody wins all the dollars in the end and they win it by taking everybody else's dollars. That's not how the economy works. Okay, wealth can be created, it can be destroyed, it can be made and unmade. It's fluid. It's not a closed system. In the same way, racial demography and the way we quote unquote get along isn't the same system. Like, for instance, how does the left keep wages down while keeping their voter rolls full? They have to import a bunch of brown people to undercut the white middle class that votes Republican. Okay, so they always have to cheat. Okay, so at this level of equity, of creating fairness, of creating equality, or whatever fucking dumb euphemism they want to use, they don't do it by improving the whole system, and they will not do it by creating a set of rules and applying them fairly from that point on. The left's idea is always about correcting an injustice. And the way they do this is by harming somebody to help somebody else. Now, the kind of help that they're giving in this Robin Hood fashion of robbing Peter to pay Paul, or stealing from the rich to give to the poor, of course, doesn't unmake the poor. The poor, once they've spent what you've given them with undue reasons, they'll just be poor again. You don't create wealth by just giving somebody something. You create wealth by creating a sustainable cash flow with a business. You can't just give the poor money and they stop being poor. It's not how it works. Now, you can give a man a fish and he eats for a day, or you can teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime, or you can give a man a dump truck full of fish, he eats for a day, and the rest of the fish spoils and is fucking wasted. The system we operate under is a lot more like the third model, okay, where the government takes a bunch of a huge portion, like say they want to rob 50 cents away from Peter to give 50 cents to Paul. Well, they don't just give 50 cents to Paul. They rob 50 cents from Peter, give 35 cents to Paul, and then pocket that 15 cents to go bomb brown people in the Middle East or something with. Or to fuck around with, or to give to some fucking CIA cocaine cowboy drug buddy of theirs. Some stupid nefarious thing that doesn't help anybody. Okay, it only helps the government. The government's taking their cut out of this illicit deal, this racket, every single time, and using it for something that nobody likes. If you knew how little of the budget that we spend on shit people think the government spends money on, holy shit. No, we spend a lot on shit that nobody ever understands and nobody's ever going to see a dime from, like foreign aid, like the giant black hole of about 30% of the budget year over year, the Social Security. When's the last time you heard a politician mention that? No, no, no. And again, all that shit, even just Social Security, is we don't expect you to plan for your own retirement. We'll do it for you, and we'll bungle the job and waste hundreds of billions of dollars. American government, the one that the leftists think is going to swoop in and save the day, okay? They think that rather than the government being a guardian of your rights that keeps a minimum level of stability for us all to operate on top of, they think that your government is your dad. The government has to tell you what you can and can't eat, where you can and can't go, who you can and can't talk to, how late you can stay up, what chemicals you can put in your body, who you can and can't date, all that shit. They want the government to be your dad, okay? And to parent you like you're a fucking child. Oh, you can't have guns because those are dangerous. Those kill people. If you really feared death as much as the left says they fear, they wouldn't ban guns. They'd ban cars and hamburgers, because that's what's killing everybody. Cars and hamburgers, literally, it's just what kills everybody. Cars, hamburger, and whatever else causes cancer. So fucking high fructose corn syrup. Well, there goes the entire fucking economy. Bye. They don't really care. Those are wedge issues to scare and emotionally manipulate you. Which, of course, is why, even though like black media is all about, hey, look at this cool gun I got, they go, oh no, the only people who are such big fans of fucking guns, those are all white people, scary white people. We should take all those guns away from those scary white people who do virtually none of the shooting and killing that you're all so afraid of. Okay, now, of course, those black people are only murdering each other and aggressing against other races in the tens of thousands of instances every fucking year over year, because of systemic injustice. And of course, the only way to fix that is to give all these blacks that everybody's getting increasingly mad at more money. Well, let me tell you how this works. I can make this very simple using a behavioral experiment that's actually been done. Okay, not this exact methodology, but more or less this. Okay, say you've got a couple of apes. You got a white ape and the black ape. And they've all been receiving grapes from you, daddy scientist, daddy arbiter, daddy government. Throughout their lives, they've been just given grapes. Now, you've noticed over time the whites have actually, on average, gotten way more grapes than the blacks. Okay? So you go, naturally what we should do is have a system where only one grape is given to each of them from now on, every day, with no deviation from that. That's fair. What the left thinks is fair is to account up every single grape that's unequal between the white and the black monkey. And they determined that 365 extra grapes have been paid to the whites. So their idea for how to fix this injustice is to give the black monkey 2 grapes every day and the white monkey no grapes every day for a year. And that, of course, gets us back to 0. You think that's going to work? You think you can let those 2 monkeys in the same room with each other? Because let me tell you what will happen. They will kill each other. They will fucking kill each other. They will literally tear each other to fucking pieces over this. Because that's not fair. And because monkeys, in fact primates, instinctually know this. Concepts of fairness is one of the defining features of the primate fucking mammal fucking psyche. Okay? We understand this. It's one of the underpinnings of our ability to socialize and create kin groups. Is creating status quos, systems of fairness. Okay? And just jerking those around, trying to get to an arbitrary 0 point, a level where everything's level, fair, flat. To get to a flat equality, you have to fuck around in the modern day to such an extent that everyone's going to be furious and angry and violent. Okay? The equity game, equality, social justice, racial justice, intersectional feminism, blah, 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 Marxism, whatever you want to fucking call it, it's the same game. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a scam. It's a racket. It is a criminal enterprise. And it doesn't work. It creates way more problems than it solves. In fact, since it solves no problems and creates many problems, it creates infinitely more problems. It's a mathematical fact that leftist everything doesn't work. That dude governments like the one we have, and if you've been following along with this channel for any length of time, you know what a dude is. It's a euphemism to get past the censors. They don't even just do this in the misguided interest of fairness. The big red pill is fairness has nothing to do with it. Fairness is the justification for it. Fairness actually is the defense for it. Fairness is the excuse for it. Because in our robbing white Peter to pay black Paul scenario, fairness is not the goal, and helping black Paul is not the goal. The entire goal is to cut the balls off of white Peter, to fuck him over, to weaken him, to harm him. Because daddy dude scientist government, whatever the fuck, the undue force here in this equation, the third angle that people forget when they think we're just in this constant racial struggle of white on black. No, there's the dude color there as well. And the dude is really scared of Peter. The dude hates Peter. The dude's entire culture and religion is built upon dude arbiters' ongoing acrimony and hatred and conflict with white Peter over thousands of fucking years. It's not something that started one day in Nazi Germany in the 1940s. Nope. It's an ongoing thing for millennia. And even though dude daddy government guy has a monopoly on power and wealth in white Peter's country, that acrimony and fear of white Peter, and again, not an unfounded because Peter's skin is white and he's from a different fucking place in origin. No, it's based on the ongoing animosity and hostility over thousands of years, that even though dude has dominated white Peter for at least a century, or more like 2 or 3, he still lives in abject fear and hatred of Peter and wants to destroy Peter. Beating Peter at the game of capitalism is not good enough. Peter has to be neutered and or destroyed to demolish any further threat to the dude in the equation. Okay? Now, the dude doesn't fear Black Paul. The dude doesn't like Black Paul. The dude isn't really aiming to help Black Paul. In fact, the dude is probably aware that this give a man a truck full of fish and expecting him to eat for a lifetime deal doesn't work. He probably knows it's a fucking sham, but he's doing it anyways because he doesn't give a fuck about Black Paul. He hates white Peter. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Hopefully 15 minutes was good enough for this. I don't know if I could do it much more concisely. I probably could. But please tell me in the comments if you don't get that this is how this works. Even if you don't want to accept that there's a dude who's really calling the shots, pulling the switches, and deciding how the two monkeys interact in the experiment, you need to understand that even if you don't think that they're a third element to a racial conflict, that they're just the government fucking shit up, you need to understand that under no circumstances, in no scenarios, in no tests of this experiment, will you ever find that the tax and spend, robbing Peter to pay Paul Ponzi scheme racket works at all. Okay, socialism was a form of it, but it's not the only one. You know, under many names. Like I said, justice, affirmative action, welfare, any of this shit, okay? It's wrong because it doesn't work. It's wrong because it doesn't help. And it's wrong because it's actually malicious and it's not working on purpose. Even if you can't grasp that last red pill, the thing remains the same. There is a government in this equation, something with undue power that it abuses, and it abuses it in an ineffective shit show rolling dumpster fire way every day. And apparently half the country thinks that giving them more dumpsters to set on fire, more money to burn, more things to waste, more people to scam is a good thing. No. No. Getting a RICO Act of some kind together and shutting this fucking con game, this organized crime, down is the solution. To strip the whole thing down.